Vanakkam. Welcome to our course on SAP Production Planning. Production is execution of sequence of operations in respective work centers. Work centers have their own capacity. Some work centers are critical and their capacity may be just enough or maybe in shortage. Whenever there is a spike in demand or those work centers are under maintenance, something like that, they become constrained and they may affect the throughput of the plant. To manage the capacity of the constraint which happens then and there, a company may arrange to do subcontracting the operations with the external suppliers for those operations which were done in these bottleneck work centers. These are all called as external operations in SAP. Deciding on external operations may be permanent or it may be on need basis. In this session, we will discuss how to handle external operations through production order in SAP. Before going to the session, let us just brief what we discussed so far. We talked about basic concepts in production planning. We talked about master data. We discussed many elements in planning. And then we talked about production order management. And then we talked about post-production activities and important reports required for production. Then we talked about capacity evaluation and leveling. So, in most companies, to handle external operations, material BOMs are broken down into sub-materials and external operations are processed like a regular subcontracting process. So, subcontracting process, who don't know, just to tell you, subcontracting is a process where you send one component, a supplier may convert it to another component, give it, or you send 2-3 components, a supplier will combine and give it. May they carry out some operations on behalf of you. So even these internal operations which are required for this external process, many companies are breaking down the bill of material into small pieces. What is the meaning of this one? Let me explain with an example. So here this is an example where we are producing a finished component. Let us say the name is called FinComp. That is produced from a raw material called raw material. This is the finished component produced from raw material. This is the simple BOM. For this there are 5 operations. Operation 1 may be cutting. It may be internal process. Operation 20 may be heat treatment. That may be external operation. Operation 30 is ID grinding, internal operation. Operation 40 is OD grinding. That is external operation. Operation 50 is finishing, internal operation. Like these 5 operations are there, the routing, right? So this is the BOM is to produce FinComp, we use raw material and 5 operations are required. And 3 operations are internal, 3 operations are external. Now, because there are some internal and external operations to process these things, so what is happening? There are individual material codes are created. For example, for the first operation cutting, there is a code called FinCom cut is created. For heat treatment, FinCom HD is created. Like this, the components are created assigned to the particular operation. And if you take bill of materials, there are 5 bill of materials will be there. This is how they will break the bill of material into 5 steps. They will assign it to different operations. And there will be multiple purchase orders to handle these things, right? Now you see the example what we saw here for each operation, right? For the first operation it is internal, there will be a production order 1. And then to send it outside, there will be one subcontracting purchase order 1. And then to have internal production, again there is a second production order for the same production. And then we have the finished component, we have to send outside, external operation, subcontract order 2. Then there is another production order. So there are 3 production orders and 2 subcontracting purchase orders are handled. So breaking down a simple bill of material into this kind of multiple bill of materials, we are creating a lot of purchase orders and a lot of production orders. So this is creating issues like a number of materials to handle, multiple orders to manage. The link between one order to another order will be missing, and there will not be clear cost analysis, and also there will be clarity. For example, where is the status of this product from raw material to the finished product? The status may not be clear. So to overcome these issues, SAP is having a simple process concept called external operations, which can be handled through production order itself. That is what we are going to discuss now. So we start with what are the master data required to handle the external operation. So we need to have the metal master in which the parent metal and the component required to produce, they are all created like a regular materials. Apart from this, we need to create one phantom item to handle the external operation stock. What is phantom? We'll discuss. And then in bill of materials, in a regular bill of material component, we need to include this phantom, and also we need to assign the operation accordingly. And then we have to create the purchase info record where it has to be created for the material group. So for this, we have to create a metal group and create info record related to the metal group. Then assign this info record to the routing and with a specific control key. And then combining routing and the bill of material, we have to create the production version, and then costing is done combining all this. This is the master data requirement. So when you talk about phantom material which is created for external operation, we need to create them as a non-valuated item. And also we need to have these things, using the standard material type like UNBW. Standard metal type in SAP is UNBW that can be used. It is suggested to create phantom metal code with the logic like you take the finished code, give the suffix like HT, maybe for heat treatment means HT you take. For grinding, gear grinding, take GG as a suffix. For painting, PG as a suffix. Like this, you take it and create. So accordingly, we have to create this kind of standardized approach for this material so that when you see the items, we will be able to identify which phantom are we talking for which component. This discipline has to be followed here. What are the views which are used for these phantom items are basic views, purchasing views, MRP views, and store location views. Next, what we need to create is a metal group. Metal group is created to define info record to capture the cost of external operations. Metal group that is used to create the info record. And then bill of materials. Bill of material is the where we need to assign the component, the phantom component into the product. So here we have the link between the parent product and the raw material. In addition to this, you have to bring in the phantom material. When we include the phantom metal, there are some steps which has to be followed. So here, what are the steps to be followed is the phantom item has to be added in two lines. The first line item should be added as a positive, where we need to consume the material. Another line item has to be added, should be created as a negative to bring the phantom stock into the phantom item into the stock. So we'll discuss later in the routing session how to assign suitably these operations for each these phantom items into the respective operations later during the routing discussion. And please note that when you are creating this bill of material, that the phantom was in two line items, right? That items, you click on the detailed line items, select costing not relevant, because the costing will be done through phantom item, not through this, through the info record, not through these phantom items. So you have to select costing relevancy has to be unchecked here. That should not be there. And the next step is we have to create the external operations, we have to create the purchase info record for the metal group which is created. And the purchase info record is created to a transaction called ME11. Please take note, we have to select the item category as subcontracting. How to create purchase info record? We will discuss these things in detail and other details in the MM course, which will be followed after completing PP course. Maybe in another 1 or 2 weeks we'll start MM. But until then, what is shown here, just understand. If you have any doubt, you can discuss with your MM partner. Now, when you create this info record, the first page you have to update the metal group. You have to capture what are the info record names, and also other details are entered like a regular info record. There is no specific details here except the metal group. Similarly, purchase organization details, you have to enter like a regular purchasing info record details. And also the conditions, you have to enter like a regular details. Here, because it is the operations, we have to enter what is the cost of the operation, not the cost of the materials info record. What is the amount we are going to pay to the supplier who is going to process the operation. For example, 5 pieces per minute. Like that, how much cost it is going to require, what operations cost is required. That only you have to enter here. Save the info record. And then we come to the work center. So work center is created for the supplier who is going to create the subcontracting, who is going to do the subcontracting operation. that supplier name we have to create the work center, because the cost of external operation will be created through the purchase info record, and there is no need to create costing view for this work center. At the same time, we may have the capacity view to arrive at the capacity requirement for external operations, and scheduling view may be used because we need to arrive at what is the schedule for these orders. So in work centers, we need to create the name as per the work center subcontractor. No need of costing view, but we can create capacity requirement and scheduling views. And then when you have this work center, the basic view may be created like other work centers. It is suggested to use the backflush to consume the phantom material while confirming the external operation of the production order. And also we have to control the control key PP02 must be used for the external operation. Control key PP0. PP02 is a standard control key which is having this subcontracting facility, external operation facility. If you have changed it, please take care of it. You have to go through this. That's what here we shown that the details in the control key. The control key you have to check whether the external operation is clicked or not. But here, when we see here, the PP02 is not having this external operation, right? But actually that should have been ticked, the external operation. And also external processing is showing as a plus here. So that will be worked out, but scheduling may not happen here. But actually standard, these things should be there. And then while creating operation details, two parameters we need to check. First, the control key for the operation should be PP02, that standard PP02. If the PP02 is not used, some other thing is used, we need to ensure that external operation option is selected as we discussed earlier. Here also you see the external operation plus external process is there. You can see the details here. And second is that for external operations, we need to assign purchase info record for material group. Also, the phantom items created for external operations must be assigned to the specific conditions, specific operations. That's important. And when we double click the 20 right operations, we have system will ask, because you put the control key PP02, but you have not maintained the info record, purchase info record. So system is telling you have not maintained the external processing data. So what you have to do, you have to tick that subcontracting, update the info record what we created, and also what is the purchasing organization and other details you have to update. Also we can put what is the inspection type also, so that when we receive the materials we can do the inspection here and we can check it before we are doing the goods receipt. Now we can also select the particular line item that you have to take it, you have to do the new assignment, because all these -1 and +1 both are assigned to the first operation only. But we need to change the assignment. How do we change the assignment? We take the item and where is it is the +1, right? That we have to move it to operation 20. Why we have to move it to operation 20? Because in operation 10, when we consume the raw material, phantom has to be created, right? So raw material one piece will be consumed, phantom has to come into stock. So there it will be -1. So -1 and the raw material should be in the first operation only, but the +1 you put it in the operation 20, because that should consume this component what is required there. That is why I put the 20 there. So now after checking these details, save the routing. Then as usual in S4HANA, we need to create the SAP production version using the transaction C2223. That production version we have to create for the parent material. This is a regular thing we have to do. And then the components overview, we see the list of components being used in the production orders and their respective operation numbers. See, you can see here also the first operation 0010, right? The first operation, and again in the first operation we are having 100 plus and 200 minus. This means when we confirm the first operation, the raw material will be consumed for 100 numbers, 200 numbers of subcontracting will be created and added into the stock. Maybe here we should have put -100, but by doing some in the master data problem, it is shown here as -200. Actually, it should be -100. So when 100 is consumed, -100 if you put means when you confirm first operation, 100 raw material will be consumed, 100 phantom will be put into stock. And when you confirm operation 20, what will happen? You will consume this phantom stock, right? That is what is shown here. The operation 20 it will consume, right? So see, please check this point, because this is a very important point which you need to understand. This is very critical to handle this external operation also. And next is the internal operation. They are all scheduled based on routine time maintained in the respective operations and work centers. For external operations, they are scheduled based on the planned delivery lead time maintained in the purchasing info record. Please note this difference. Also, if you want to schedule the external operations, the schedule external operations with standard values that should be selected in the control key. That is what we saw now in the control key, what we referred PP02, the schedule was not there. So we have to select it if you want to include in the schedule. And if you want to see the external operations in the production orders, then you go to the tab, external processing tab. There you can see the indicator subcontracting is selected. We see the other details like a purchase info record, purchasing organization, price, metal group, all these details are there. And we have not saved the production order so far, so the purchase requisition page is looking blank. Once you save the order, system will create purchase requisition. That purchase requisition number will get updated here automatically. And also in external processing, that's what after updating the production order which is saved, now we are seeing the purchase requisition details. At the same time, because we have not converted purchase requisition to purchase order, the purchase order exists, that checkpoint is blank. And then production order release. Now we completed the production order, we have to release the production order and then save it. Now we go and check the costing. Here on the costing area, see, you can see here the external operation cost is picked from the purchase info record. Now for external operations, purchase requisitions are created automatically by system when we create the production order. That's what we saw now. And these purchase requisitions can be seen through various options like through CO03 production order display, or ME53N display purchase requisition, or ME5A purchase requisition list with the various selection parameters. Now through production order CO03, go to the external processing tab. That the purchase requisition, that the tab is there, no, that icon, that you click it, system will bring you to the purchase requisition page. So in purchase requisition page, we are seeing these details. Like when you go to the account assignment tab, we are seeing the production order details. From which production order this purchase requisition is created. These details are there. Similarly, when we go to the components icon, when you press it, system will show which are the components which are assigned to the external operation. That is also shown here. Under the source of supply, the tab, we can see what are the vendor details, info record details, what are the supplier details. These things we can see. In addition, in contact person details, in contact person tab, we can see the create indicator, the creation indicator. No, we see it as a F production order. This means this particular purchase requisition is created from production order. That details also we can see. And then next we have to do the production order confirmation. So now we do the production order confirmation, the regular process. You have to do the production order confirmation. So when we do the production order confirmation, when we go to the first operation, we see that the raw material 261 movement is getting consumed. That the phantom item what we defined, now that is moved as a movement 531, which means that will be added into the stock here. So now the components are added, the stock of the stock component, the phantom item. Initially it was not there. Once we confirmed, the phantom component is getting added to the stock 20. Now we have to select the purchase requisition for external operations, and then we have to convert them into the purchase order. Because this is the time, right? We did the production, we add the phantom stock has been is brought into the stock. Now we have to send it to the supplier, right? Subcontracting vendor. So we have to create the purchase requisition. So it is recommended to create the purchase order like after completing the internal operation before the external operation, or after releasing the production order. That time we have to create this purchase order, and then select purchase requisition for external operation and then convert into purchase order. So in purchase order, we go to the account assignment tab. The production order and operation details are displayed in the account assignment. As we saw in the purchase requisition, here also we can see the production order and item details. And once the production order is created, once the purchase order is created, let us go back to the production order in the external processing tab. The purchase order exists, that checkbox is checked here. Please check it. Okay, which means from production order itself we will come to know all the details related to the external processing. And then we need to we issued the material, right? We have to issue the metal to the subcontractor. We received the metal in the first operation. Now we have to issue it to the subcontracting vendor. That is done through the transaction MIGO. In MIGO, put that A08 transfer posting for R01 purchase order. Movement type is 541. And check the entries and then enter the click. So now once we enter the stock details, system is moving the stocks, right? The 20 numbers which are moved to the subcontracting vendor, it is showing the stock there, sub 10 in the subcontracting, 10 in our own stock. Now metal is issued through the subcontractor through MIGO, and then we have to receive it back, right? So that also we have to do based on the MIGO. So issuing also done through MIGO, receipt also done MIGO. When you receive it, select A01 Good Receipt against the purchase order R01. Movement type is 101. Now you check the details. Now what the check the details means, what do we need to receive? That external processed item. Only the operation is getting completed here. We will not see any materials here, right? External operations are completed. So now we check the items and save it. So now stock at supplier also we can see how much stock is there. That also we can see, that is through the MMBE, how much is the movement, right? So those items, the stock at vendor, that is removed. Only remaining stock which was there in the plant, that will be shown in the MMBE stock. When the metal is received from subcontracting vendor in the external operations, we can see the status in the is updated like this. So when you go to the status, here we see what is it, EOPD, that is the external operation partially delivered. If it is fully delivered, show it as EODL, external operation delivered. So now we confirmed the first operation of the production order. Then we sent that phantom item, that is the metal for subcontracting processing. Then we received back the after the operations. Now we have to go to the second operation, continue like this, and then continue for the internal operation or external operations like this. So now we can see in one production order itself, all the operations are covered in this one production order itself. This means we know completely the status of these operations happened in this production order. Operation by operation, where is it, and also there is a clear link between the production operation with the external purchase request and also with the purchase order. So we are able to establish the link from production order to purchase request, purchase order link is there. From purchase request and purchase order to production order link is also, vice versa it is there. So we are able to monitor. Cost is entirely captured here, status is captured here. So there are a lot of advantages here when you are following this external operation. So in this session we discuss about external operations, where we talk about what are the master data required to do these operations, and also what are all the steps we need to do. Those things we discuss in this session. So after this we will be discussing the next step, some of the important configurations required in SAP production planning. With that we will complete this course, SAP production planning. After that we will start SAP MM, metal management. Thank you. See you in the next session, which will be the final session. Bye.